Welcome to the Overencumbrance podcast. I'm DonJobo, and with me is Cevian and ZeDarkKnight.
Hello. Hello.
Out on this one Saturday night, we run on the Overencumbrance podcast, which is nice, but this is purely live, and we write on the Overencumbrance blog.
Well, occasionally. Mostly you write. I've written a little. You've written a bit.
Sorry about the pause at the moment. For right now, I'm living the life of Godai from Mason Ikaku, and now everything's going smoother than before.
Like many things, unfortunately, real life has to override the wonderful, wonderful world of our fantasy lives.
All right, no, gotta go eat. All right now, sure, no, you gotta go to bed. Why? You got work in the morning. Ugh.
I don't want to go to work. I want to write about orcs. You can't write about orcs. You have to go to work. They won't pay you to write about orcs.
Yet.
What a terrible world we live in.
It's okay. If we work hard enough, we'll be able to write about orcs as much as we want. Or as little as we want. It really depends, your opinion on orcs.
Let's see, what's something that everyone likes and enjoys? I know. How about some shows from this current season of anime?
Yes. The Winter 2017 season of anime.
It's been a pretty good season. It's been a pretty good season so far.
Yes, it is. Winter. The first season of the year, which starts in January.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
What did we particularly watch this year?
As in so far this year in the season, or over the past year?
Let's say the winter season.
The winter season. The season that we said we're talking about.
Yes.
Well, we've watched.
Let's continue that continuity.
We've watched a lot of stuff, including KonoSuba, whose full name I forget, but it has those words in it. Konosubarashi Sekai Seifuku.
If I recall right, that's selling pretty well right now.
Sentai Kagura Tonkatsu Festival versus
Beach Splash.
Ransom Dragon XD 2.0. Do you remember love?
The X is silent.
Oh, that's true. I was forgetting that.
Always remember that the X is silent.
Go by the preview, people.
You kids know that the manga is called Holic? It's just Holic.
It's just Holic.
It's just Holic. It's going to still mess with me forever. It's just Holic.
It's just Holic.
Oh, well, the full or what translated title is God's Blessing on This Wonderful World.
KonoSuba. Yes. It's just Holic. But the Gonzo anime about Romeo and Juliet has the X, but it's pronounced toe, which is and, so it's Romeo and Juliet, but they spell it with the cross, which is silent. Ah! This is the life I have to live. I'm sorry.
Well, you also have Capcom X Namco, which is Versus for that one.
I thought that was cross, which is how it's sometimes pronounced.
The commercial said Versus.
Was it an English commercial?
Japanese.
Oh, okay. Japan is weird. They're inconsistent on English. They're also inconsistent in Japanese.
How dare they be inconsistent about someone else's language?
How dare they be inconsistent about their own language? That's what bothers me.
Yeah.
It really bothers me. It's like, that is a rant for a different time. I'm sorry. We should talk about KonoSuba.
Yeah, we'll just throw a volcano on Japan.
Right.
I think they already have one, at least.
Probably a couple.
Not Midoriyama.
Yeah, volcanic activity in Japan is while not too frequent, or else there wouldn't be much in the way of Japan to speak of. They do have regular volcanic activity, and it's a very tectonically unstable country.
Oh yeah,
yes.
A whole lot of tragedies those past 2 years. But anyway,
but we're supposed to be talking about a comedy called KonoSuba. Let's get back to that.
Yes, let's talk about the happy magical comedy about
people having to live terrible everyday lives in a fantasy world.
Yes, as opposed to terrible everyday lives in actual life.
If I recall right, there's 4 main characters, a sub ghost-like character, and a cat this semester.
Season, not semester.
Well, let's just cram into this course, shall we?
Oh no, is this going to be on the test?
Yes.
No!
No problem for me.
All right.
Yeah. So
I'm not good with names. What's the name of the main character?
Sato Kazuma, Megumin, Darkness, or Destina, Fortnite, Lavatina, Dustinus, whatever, Aqua, and then a whole other cast of wonderful characters, including everybody's favorite Pink Suspenders. Oh man, anime exclusive Mohawk guy. You might get a real name someday.
I feel like KonoSuba is following the grand anime tradition of not having any interconnecting theme with character names. So we've got kind of Japanese, definitely Japanese, Latin, English word.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alternately different English word.
And the Wiz.
And the Wiz. Can't forget the Wiz.
Yeah.
Yes, this is my anime characters of Honsho, Rose Black, Gefrindefrinden, Bread.
I believe that the trope is called Arieth and Bob.
Yes.
So with KonoSuba, we got done with the first season when it aired last year, and now the second season, which is currently done at the moment.
Except for like an OVA we're getting or something.
Hey, if the OVA does well, I will gladly enjoy more of it. But
I've heard season 2 is doing well, so
I've heard
That's
season
good.
2 is doing well as
That's
well.
good.
Mostly I've heard it from him, but I have heard season 2 is doing well. I'm really hoping the OVA does really well, and I'd really like to see a continuation of this story. It seems like this is an anime that can actually end, which is nice. While it's sort of a semi-harem anime, it has this harem elements. We don't have to perpetually hold off in the holding pattern forever.
It has vague harem elements, but that comes from the fact that it is, well, originally a novel, but now a light novel series. And the reason why so many of those end up being harem is because light novel editors and companies like their light novels be full of cute girls that they can put on the covers because that gets people to buy stuff.
Yes.
And harem tends to be a emergent property of having a variety of cute girls.
Well, not just eye candy for the covers, but also figurines to sell later.
Yeah.
Yes. We
Also
must
good
get the middle school students money because they don't need to study. They just need to give us money from their parents.
Does the show have swords and cute girls? Congratulations, you have enough money.
So the main synopsis of KonoSuba, you have a NEET who one day decides he just ran out of everything, has to quit his game to run to the nearby 7-Eleven-esque store. As he goes there,
That's not what happened. He's on the way back from buying a video game. You're thinking ReZero, which came out
I'm
a season
thinking
later.
ReZero.
ReZero is he's at like a store buying food, and then he gets whisked away to a magical world. KonoSuba, he's coming back from buying a new game, which might be the world that he ended up being sent to, but that's an entirely different meta conversation.
Anime is slowly eating itself, people.
And
This
he
is
pushes
something
a
we need to
girl out of the
remember.
way of an oncoming car that ends up being a slow-moving tractor, and he dies from shock of embarrassment.
Upon
He
his
dies
death,
of shock embarrassment.
upon his death, he meets with a goddess, and she grants him a wish upon being revived, and he wished that she was his partner. So now they're off into this new magical world that he is not familiar with.
It's more of a boon than a wish, but that's semantics.
Boon's a giant well from One Piece.
That's la boon, not a boon. A boon is like a positive gift that is given to you.
Yeah, now I feel like a baboon.
Well, not to monkey around.
Yes. So he travels there with the rather unwilling goddess and meets up with Megumin, who's not really a Chuninbyo because she actually has magical powers, but effectively acts like one that only casts the strongest explosion magic, Explosion. And then later Darkness, a Crusader, which is a variant of tanky paladin archetype, who's a huge masochist and absolutely loves taking damage and can't hit anything.
Yes. So we're all exploring this idea, this sort of video gamey fantasy realm with a party that should be, by any rights, absolute garbage, but who winds up being weirdly effective in most of their battles.
Yeah.
So
It's obviously a heavy satire in the amount of isekai or fantasy world misplacement protagonist genre that has come of recent, with a lot of stuff directly referencing that. But a lot of the other elements of the satire really go down to fantasy genre specific, such as the various characters and their eccentricities. But something that's nice to note that as weird or strange as somebody is, they're never really depicted as being weird and strange in that negative of a light. Which makes it so that even though they're all kind of jerks in one way or another, or weird, they're all pretty likable, which is nice.
I mean, the worst really being is Aqua, and for the most part, you can see Aqua actually being hardworking, thoughtful, and caring to certain people.
Yeah.
Just, she also tends to be vain and somewhat self-obsessed. But
and you do
at
need
the end
to
of the
note,
day,
you do
still
need,
a good person.
You do need to note that, to put it in the most mimetic way possible, I never asked for this.
True.
And just so everyone knows who is doing what, the main character is a thief/warrior.
He is an adventurer, which means he can pick up skills from anybody.
So,
Which is
a working skill monkey.
Notably, this is supposed to be one of the most low-tier classes you can possibly get with almost no benefits. And of course, being in the traditional anime sense, the worst thing is actually the best thing, and everyone should realize this.
I think what it is like...
Oh no, how terrible. I have psychic powers and magic.
There's a skill point system, and I would just assume that adventurers have to pay more for everything to have access to everything, where if you're a specialized class, you get its specific abilities for cheaper.
From a writing standpoint, it would be a lot easier to develop your character if they start off as mud, then you can sculpt to how you want them to be, as compared to having the ceramic perfect thing that's only that one thing.
At this point in the game, I really have to wonder what everybody else is spending their skill points on, because if you've noticed, we're 2 seasons in, and Kazuma has picked up a ton of skills.
Megumin puts all of hers into buffing explosion. Aqua, I think, puts a lot of hers into buffing nature's beauty. But purely the entertainment aspect of that.
Yeah, she puts a lot into party tricks. This priest, right? Aqua,
yes. The goddess who's pretending to be a priestess of herself.
But you'd figure that would top out pretty quickly. I mean, surely she should be putting points in something else by now. I mean, Megumin just getting better and better and better and better and better at explosions is fine for her character, although, of course, maybe just investing something that she could do more explosions, for instance, might be worth it. But that would
take away from her being able to do the best one explosion, which
seems to be the main goal there.
I'm really enjoying Megumin, the arch mage, if I recall right.
Yeah.
She feels very. Granted, she's younger than the main character.
I think they're only like a year or two. So.
Yeah, a year or two. However, they kind of feel like brother and sister in most cases, or very good friends.
Yeah, well, they all are close compatriots in one way or another, all living under the same house together.
Oh yeah.
I said under the same house. That
Under
meant
the same
to be
mansion?
in the same house or under the same roof, but I accidentally mixed the two together.
I will say that in the harem sense, it seems like Darkness is the closest to having an actual romantic relationship with Kazuma.
Yeah.
It's there as sort of a subtle underlying theme. Meanwhile, his relationship with Megumin and Aqua certainly never seems to get to that point. He seems like he mostly barely just tolerates Aqua.
Yeah.
Like, the others are his actual friends. Aqua is just whom he's saddled with.
Yeah.
With the darkness, aside from her looking like the poster girl for 99 Nights for Xbox 360, season 1 you get to understand what she really enjoys, which I like the comedy from that. Season 2 you get to know more of the character as they expand more of who her family is, who these other characters that were named in the first season are, and she changes costumes.
Yeah. We in season 2 we hit a darkness arc and an aqua arc, which tends to be the standard setup of how a light novel series is written.
Oh yeah.
Where after you have various characters established, you will have character development centered arcs that last about a light novel's length for the various characters in order to focus on the cute girls and, be able to put them on the cover.
It's actually amazing that you see so many costume changes on both Darkness and Megumin. And I think even Kazuma a little bit, because normally it's very typical when you're writing a fantasy anime that the characters just have that one outfit that they wear forever, even in ones where there's no real excuse for it.
Bringing up
Well,
ReZero, which them both being sort of commentaries on the isekai genre and airing so close to each other, Subaru has the tracksuit and then the butler outfit, and he wears nothing else over the course of the entire 2 core of that. For Cosmo, we had the original tracksuit, his new sort of cloak thing, dressed as a butler once, and a few other costumes.
Oh yeah, heck, his Aqua almost destroyed the tracksuit when.
Yeah. I think it might have gotten repossessed when he got into debt.
Well, they need to stay warm somehow.
Yeah.
The enemies in this one, comparing season 1 to season 2 finale, I feel like season 1 had the bigger threat. However, season 2, you got to see more of the characters use their full abilities.
You think it would be too much of a spoiler if I talked about the end boss of season 2?
Spoilers. Spoiler warning. Yeah, just spoiler warning.
Okay, so spoiler warning. Spoiler.
Spoiler warning, the
end-
stuff that we're about to talk over is what is about to happen during this show. If you do not like this, please skip forward or look at funny pictures and ignore us for a little bit.
I'd say click the annotation, but annotations are going away.
Anyway, the end boss of season 2 being a slime, but where they really emphasize that a slime would actually make for a very difficult opponent because they're almost impossible to hurt. You can't touch them. This one is highly, highly toxic.
Deadly poison.
Ooh.
And of course it is intelligent and can change shape, all of which makes this an extremely difficult enemy as opposed to the normal dragon warrior trope of, oh sure, you just womp on the slime, and like, no, this is, you cut the slime has no internal organs, it does not care. You bash the slime, it still doesn't care. You burn the slime, well, it's not really all that flammable.
Yeah.
For this slime's corrosivity, for comparison, if you took something like a slime from Dragon Warrior, you get poison from it, it just kind of rubs against you like deodorant. For this one, in KonoSuba, if it touches the ground, it burns a hole in the ground until it continues to move again.
Getting swallowed up in it reduces you to bones almost instantly.
The alien has nothing on this acid.
Yes.
Slime OP need a nerf.
With a lot of typical RPG games or
LTG.
JRPG games, I've always wondered why the poison was at the beginning when that's an obstacle that's far threatening towards the end.
Very old school, traditionally JRPG games were incredibly difficult. It's strange. Every individual region of the world basically has its own section of video games that it is amazing at, and then other sections of the world are just blown away. The American section, for instance, we are amazingly good compared to everyone else in the world at fighting games. If all the top competitors in fighting games are Americans, on the other hand, the traditional fantasy RPG, especially turn-based fantasy RPGs, were dominated by the Japanese, who had incredibly hard games, and when they were ported over to America, they had to soften them for us.
Well, that depends if it was part of the rental retail market or not.
Yeah.
Because like Battletoads, for example, in the U.S., granted, it was made in the U.S., Britain, Euro area, because of rental retail stores like Blockbuster, whatever existed with Blockbuster, they increased the difficulty, so more people would have to go out and rent it more. However, in Japan, you can rent music tapes in Japan, but you can't rent video games because that takes money away from the developer. So they had to soften the difficulty and released it over there.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that about Battletoads.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for informing me. It sort of makes you want to go off on a whole tangent about the continual existence of arcades in Japan, but that's a topic for a whole other time.
I really do wish that arcades could be something that could exist here, just because there's, I think, a certain social aspect that's lacking in modern video gaming in America. You have that online component, and so far the online component mostly just seems to encourage people to be deeply, deeply nasty to each other.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really seem to encourage, like, oh man, I'm friends with this guy I played Overwatch with. No, I hate that guy I played Overwatch with.
Yeah.
I have that brief moment where I touch greatness and we have somebody I played a game with online who was amazing, and then we never hear hide nor hair of him again.
Yeah, to me, it takes away from, like, the multiplayer experience. You get angry at someone, you're left looking at a screen and turning it off. If you have someone right beside you, you can punch them.
Don't condone violence to people. Don't punch your friends.
Don't punch your friends.
Punch yourself.
Punch yourself. Don't punch anybody. Don't punch yourself. Love yourself. Love your friends.
With your fists.
Love violence in media, not in real life.
You can love yourself with your fist.
No fist, no fist bumping at the table.
No, handshake.
Thing ring, do your thing.
With KonoSuba, aside from the fantastic production values, that's...
They put so much money into making this show look kind of bad, which makes it look amazing.
You say bad, I'm still enjoying it.
Well, it's not just a function of money, it's also a function of time, because they could have just released this hot on the heels of the first season.
Yeah.
But they obviously gave it just enough time that they could seriously work on it. And for Studio Dean, it's really pretty.
Yeah. Like, I think season 1 of KonoSuba looked better than Sakamoto, just in the season right afterwards. And this just looks really good. Like, they put a lot of effort into this and a lot of time, and it looks really good. I mean, they get a bad rap a lot of the time, mostly because they get short production cycle, sequel seasons shoved onto them by people who want to make a quick buck.
Here's the thing, and I've explained this before, that what will happen is they will get a show that they originally did not start animating shoved off on them. And if they have to try to adapt to someone else's style, all of their weaknesses as animators show. Whereas if they can create their own show from scratch, it can look really good. I believe, weren't they ones who did Sakura Trick?
Yes, they did.
Yes, and Sakura Trick looks really good, but you can see they use a lot of subtle tricks to make sure they don't have to do a whole bunch of complicated animations for Sakura Trick.
Yeah.
So they could pound out everything relatively easily. They could take shortcuts. Okay, for this scene, we're going to have a very minimalist style, for instance, so we can just get it up, get it over with, get it out.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to larger studios, which will be, we'll have lots of rain and crowd effects and bunches and bunches of people moving and talking and doing whole battle scenes.
A good example of that in KonoSuba, which we were talking about. In fact, the finale we just had. In the shots of the angry mob showing up, a good chunk of them were done from just like the top where you see their signs with very little animation, which is a good way of getting across the size of the crowd, what their intention is, and without having to go into all the minute details that they do into the backgrounds of these shows, of the show, with all the unique background character designs.
And then a lot of zoom up into close-ups of individual characters, so you can get an idea of what's going on inside the crowd, but you notice you don't have to have a whole lot of animation on either side of the character who's currently in focus.
Yes, the magic of Flash, CG, and smear animation. Hashtag rewatch the Dover Boys. For season 2, one of the aspects I liked, and you can also argue season 1, is all the background characters. They use, you see all the background characters in the show, and that's what they use for the town. It's not like copy paste a bunch of rows of characters, and that's those same sort of array of characters as the town. No, we see individual different people.
I'm just remembering A1 Pictures' terrible CGI background character generator, where I was looking at this one shot of a gallery crowd in the Phoenix Wright anime that came out last year, and I'm like, there's the same woman 4 times, she just has a different colored shirt. And it's this really terrible CG model that they shouldn't have focused on at all. You
you have certain tiers of how bad these things are.
Behind the scenes action of opening a soda.
Still crowds are some of the things that drive me the craziest. It's one thing, it's like, okay, we didn't really like give them a whole lot of detail, so they're just sort of back there, they're kind of fuzzy like the rest of the background. That's actually preferable. Then we gave them some detail, so there's enough you can see that they're there. And if we're just moving kind of quickly past them, it doesn't matter, but when the characters are just sort of standing there talking or doing some more elaborate action, and you just have like that one guy going, hey, with his hand in the air, and it's just hanging there, his mouth open, not moving for about 30 seconds.
So the 70s to mid-ooze or 2000s, whichever one you prefer, did not treat ZeDarkKnight well.
No. The worst being when you have characters in the foreground who are still. Where we have our main characters are in the background of the shot, doing stuff, and then we have a bunch of people holding still in the foreground, which is obviously somebody taking the manga and using it for storyboarding, but being really cheap and shitty about it.
Or it might be the work of an enemy stand.
Also quite possibly the work of an enemy stand.
Waldo.
So you two mentioned Studio Dean, and Cevian mentioned A1 Pictures. Out of the two, I really have more of a problem with A1 Pictures, mostly because they're kind of like a meat grinder or a sausage grinder, whichever you want to choose. All it does is just cranks the grinder and you just toss the meat. Doesn't matter good or bad, different sausage, just keep grinding the meat.
It's a very cookie cutter factory production sort of level of anime. It's like, well, let's take a light novel. Oh, it's some vague fantasy element, and then there's a tsundere and a harem element, and it's set in a high school. And
princess, red hair, fire powers. Yeah.
Let's stamp this out, ship it out. It's like every other anime we've made, although this one or that one may randomly be more popular for whatever reason.
Hold on, you have to crank out the figures. You can't crank out a show from A1 Pictures without the figures.
A1 Pictures is at least good occasionally. Occasionally they do put in the effort in. I'm the only one of the people at this table who watched through all of Occultic 9 back in fall. And that show looks really, really good. There's a tiny bit of A1 Pictures face in the eyes, but everybody has this weird distinct nose thing to it.
Yeah.
And the show ended up being really good.
But I'm going to say if you have really good meat, you don't need A1.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of steak sauce to begin with.
I think it's necessary for the table, especially with your cheddar cheese.
I'll just put ketchup on it, man.
Yeah, there's sick things. There's sick things out in the world that we don't need to talk about.
Steak sauce.
I know.
High fructose corn syrup is a way of life.
Yeah.
No one knows what you just spanked.
That was my stomach. I am fat. I haven't used belly drum. It's not very effective.
No.
Oh, you did say no 2 times, so...
No.
If I can aside for a moment while we're on the subject of A1 Pictures, I've been getting advertisements for the Sword Art Online iOS game recently. You don't defrag memory, you defrag storage. Why is it called memory defrag?
The weird thing is, Cevian, I know you have a real problem with the way computers are normally treated in Western media, which is usually a matter of like, well, these are some vaguely computer-related terms. Let me just dump this on the viewer.
Yeah.
You know, I had to recode the GUI.
Quick, let's type on the keyboard at the same time to hack faster.
Yes.
It's like 2 ships meeting in the middle of the ocean and throwing messages between each other.
Computers are magic. Oh no, he hacked my cell phone using etchings in the bones of the murder victim.
No, it wasn't the cell phone. He hacked the Angelatron using carvings in bones that were just being looked at on the computer.
Yes, Angela, the dark side of Rugrats.
And yet at the same time, anime in general's treatment of computers, just with a very small exception of like the super realistic hacking of Steins Gate. I'm going to be hacking. This involves me sitting at a computer boringly for the next several days
to get user entry privileges using SQL injections.
But for the most part, anime has just such an incredibly wild, all other world level treatment of computers. Is it just that it's so far beyond the pale you don't care? Usually it's like, oh no, I hit the wrong sequence of keys and I got transported through the internet, a la Freakazoid.
It depends on the tone of the series.
Yeah.
A lot of American TV dramas that have really terrible applications of computers are stuff where in other areas they tend to be knowledgeable and accurate. But when it comes to computers, it's just computers are magic, lol. If it's like an anime where you get magically teleported into the computer, there's magic.
Well,
it just works.
Well, it depends on the series. I mean,
There's just randomly computer
sort of
screens popping up in the middle of nowhere with nowhere to project them.
In Sword Art Online, it's all depicted as being scientific, which is what really gets me about all the stuff in that.
Well, when it comes to computers and anime, you have different sides of the story. You have like the wonderful Alice in Wonderland of Serial Experiments Lane, where you take the semiconductor chip. Take the chip as a drug to a gateway to the wired. You have Silent Mobius, where you can telekinetically communicate to the system, as it is a guild of hackers or computer enthusiasts. Then you have stuff like, Handy-Made May, where you get all the technical stuff. That tends to be the boring aspect of the show. Show us the May that makes things explode and upsets the main character.
I just wanted to say that for those who don't know, Sword Art Online is the tragic tale of the death of quality control in video game peripherals.
Yes. And a complete ignorance of the amateur hardware hacking group. But I digress.
Well, if you want to talk about MMO anime, before we go back to KonoSuba, you have .hack Sign, which I liked because there's a vast amount of lore that you can explore. Is it worth it? Is it not? It's up to the individual. I argue that it's worth the trip just for the experience, but for most people, it's not.
There's the problem with .hack being there is so much lore and it's over a wide amount of media. So at a certain point, you have to cease being an anime fan and start becoming a .hack fan.
I am fine with a lot of like multimedia interactions with stuff. I'm a big fan of the Science Adventure series, where like interesting information about world building is in like a 2-page long short story printed in a magazine that came out a decade ago. So I'm perfectly fine with that, but it's a question of, is it worth it to me? And since I know what is going on behind the scenes in .hack, which is not all that much, I don't feel like it's really worth it to go through all of that for the story deep down.
Unfortunately, I greatly dislike .hack, and for me, .hack almost made me give up on the MMO genre entirely.
Thank you, Log Horizon.
Thank you, Log Horizon. Also, thank you, Overlord.
Oh man, I can't wait for more Overlord.
There's gonna be more Overlord.
Kutai wa doko, saga shite, where's my soul?
Let's see.
It's over there.
That's pretty much what's... Aside from .hack, that's .hack to Sword Art Online. They're in between. There's probably our stuff out there, but to my knowledge, it doesn't.
There's a Korean manhwa called ID Entity that I read several volumes of that wasn't bad. Which it takes place in a world where everybody's avatars in game are made by scanning your body as like a law, so that you can't disguise yourself on the internet. But the main character on his birthday, which is when he updates his, finds another like cartridge thing that holds it in the booth he's going to go in, and messing around with it at home, he finds out that he can log into it despite the fact his biometrics don't match. He logs into it and ends up being a sexy girl. He uses it to troll his friends by acting all kawaii, And then he goes to log in and tell them what was up, and then she shows up in game, and she's like a ghost in the machine now, and she can change how the MMO works by like pulling NPCs out of their shops, which you're not supposed to be able to. And then like it's not getting released in America. Stop reading it.
So it's kind of like Ghost in the Shell meets. All right, let's go. Bury the Mighty.
Okay, that's just 5 seconds of that works.
Yeah, that's some.
Time
Yeah, that's some. Okay, I just realized the whole cyber thing. You have dot hack, and I guess the meet between that, what you pointed out, and Sword Art Online is probably just more Ghost in the Shell standalone complex.
Yeah. Awkward silence as everybody stops talking.
So you have Sword Art Online. I don't like the quality control of the anime or the writing for it, because you have some episodes that are good.
Control.
Yeah.
It's lack of quality control when it comes to the light novel industry, which cares more about stuff selling than it is about it.
Well, I like the light novel adaptations. Usually I can see a quality control with it. Sword Art Online, to me, or however far you want to go with it, just kind of gets outrageous. Honestly, I think they looked at Excel World. Granted, the main character is not the original height, but I think what minor changes that they did worked a lot better. I hate it that it's like a full season of one episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0.
Excel World was a much better presentation of that same setting, and
which is the same setting. It takes place in the same world as Sword Art Online.
Yes, as I said.
Yes.
It is a better presentation of the whole thing. It certainly suffered its flaws and certain very random choices about how to do things, like why is the main character suddenly a halfling? We don't know. Just decided to do that for the anime, apparently.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it did make for much more interesting show than
if I
Sword Art
recall,
Online.
it was written after Sword Art Online was mostly written. So the author who does know that there are flaws in Sword Art Online would have hopefully leveled up as a writer in between writing Sword Art and Axel World.
Hopefully.
Then one of the MMO series that I like is Log Horizon.
Yes. Log Horizon is good. Season 2 suffers from a lot of problems. It's a Studio Dean second season where they were given a short amount of time and had to match another studio's art style and production quality.
Which unfortunately really drove the overall production quality down.
Yeah.
Although it didn't help that the show was sort of meandering at that point.
Which is caused by the fact that they had approximately half the amount of source material to work with over the same amount of episodes as Season 1. Season 1 was the first 5 volumes of the light novel. Season 2 was like 3 volumes and a short story that was going to be at a part of the 4th volume, which wasn't out yet. Of the second set.
It suffers the fate of being popular. We're going to go for first season parallel along with the original story if they feel like it. Once it gets too popular, oh no, we haven't finished the series, so we're just going to try to do what we can with what we have, then give it an alternate ending, which a lot of things suffer from.
Am I wrong, or did like Season 2 follow like nearly hot on the heels of Season 1?
There was a 2-core gap in between them finishing.
Okay, then.
So it was a fall to winter, if I remember correctly, for Season 1, and then it was fall that year, so spring and summer in between before we got Season 2, which is not enough time to properly prepare to make a 2-core anime.
I'd feel given at least a year.
Yeah. Well, a year is about as long as it takes to make an anime from starting of production until final air date for like a 1-core anime. As you know, you watched Chirobako.
Yeah.
Yeah. They start work in Season 2 on dang it, the Plain Girl one. Whatever the show in second half's called. They start production like right after the Christmas deadline of the last episode, like right into January, and then it airs in fall and finishes in winter. Wow. That show goes over the course of like a year and a half in 24 episodes.
Hey, I enjoy it while doing while understanding some database stuff from other means. And one of the confusing parts for me for Lock Horizon is when you first watch the show, you're seeing main character's avatar. And as the show continues on, what gets me confused is I know he's in the real world, but as they show it as the avatar, it starts to kind of forget the real world and he's engulfed in the game, like how an MMO is addicting.
Yeah. You see that, although in Lock Horizon, they seem to never quite forget that the world was artificial.
Yes. Which is an interesting aspect because the world that they are in now is real.
Yes, the world they're in now is real, and yet the more real it gets, the more freaked out many people are. And you're like, how are we making new things? How are the NPCs developing new behaviors?
And it's becoming more real over time because they know in Season 2, during the terrible pacing, that item flavor text is starting to actually have an in-game effect as opposed to it just being flavor text. And that's freaking people out.
Yes. And what's going to happen?
That's what happened to Krusty, because the flavor text of his second in command's scythe was that it was this weird, hell scythe, and he got whooped away to a better plot arc.
Yes.
Krusty's hanging out with the Ninja Turtle man.
As opposed to these Crossworlds fantasy MMO sort of shows where they seem to just sort of forget that it's a video game. After a while, it's like the characters stop reacting to the idea that it's a game. Yeah. It's always been real.
Yes.
Of course it's always been real. Why should we act differently now?
Yeah.
To which point I'm like, why didn't you just start in the fantasy world?
Because isekai as a genre is more popular than just making it a fantasy anime. Because if you have a character from a different world go into there, it's an element that people know they like. I can't wait for Do You Like Your Mom? Her normal attacks is 2 attacks at full power, which is the new isekai light novel, which just started back in January or February, where it's an isekai show where the main character's mom comes along with them, and she's really useful. That's all I know. And I'm like, that seems like it'd be good for at least an episode.
Now, ZeDarkKnight, there's a show that we mentioned a couple of times that doesn't have that problem. The main character knows he's in a video game, and he's just trying to get out, which is Overlord.
He's not really trying to get out.
He treats it like a vacation, but he's wondering what in the world's going to happen next.
He's playing things very defensively, which is good for a strategy player. He obviously has some level of commanding skill because he was in charge of a guild of people that ran a dungeon for other people to invade. So he's good at being able to manage people in various aspects of micromanagement. He's probably not as good being the actual persona of Ein's own goal as he probably should be, but is a character that he has been playing for a significant amount of time.
Well, I think they do notice that many of his character's personality traits are traits that he is slowly adapting into himself.
Yes,
like notably as a ancient lich, he is supposed to have very few feelings, and
which is an actual physical element that is being impressed on him, which gets removed in those comedic chibi shirts.
Yes, because of course we have to have comedic chibi shorts of him. And packing, but you notice he spends a lot of the anime actually kind of freaked out.
Yeah,
it's like this is sort of awesome, but also kind of scary because I have no idea what's going on.
It's also really nice that the world of Overlord does very heavily go into it is a dark fantasy setting.
Yes,
which does give the element of danger that his apprehension is warranted.
Yes.
There's stuff that I'll start off with this stuff that I like for this show. I like the music. The animation's consistent.
Madhouse.
Oh yeah. You can't go wrong with Madhouse, except for that one one show, but yeah, I'll probably review that
Chaos
later.
Head?
Nah, not Chaos Head. I enjoyed the character building. I enjoyed the world building. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but the light novels that they're cranking out and releasing over here have beautiful artwork.
Yeah. And a lot of that artwork style was in the ending theme to Overlord. Same light novel assistant art, like helping artist as Yojo Senki. Which is why there is an Overlord advertisement in episode 2 of Yojo Senki.
Granted, you have the grim, the world is in danger and threatening atmosphere. But the one flaw I have with this show is he's never really challenged at the moment.
Well, you see, that is an aspect of the show which plays into why it was being compared so much to One Punch Man at the time, besides the fact that both of them are animated by Madhouse, or One Punch Man later was after Overlord was. And in that, it makes him being overpowered still interesting, because it all comes down to the stakes and how the conflicts are set up. The conflicts in Overlord are not set up in a, is he going to win or lose? It is set up in that there are other stakes where if he loses or does not do as well, or if things are more powerful than he is expecting them to be, things could lose. Like, he's always afraid that he's just going to come across something that is at the same power tier as him. And he's playing incredibly defensively because of that. And that is one of the interesting aspects.
Another point of what he does, kind of similar to what you say, is I like how he can just form relationships with many different people. Granted, there's some pre-characters that were hacked into becoming his main posse, if you will.
No, really the only one that was hacked was Albedo, and that was him jokingly messing with her character settings in order to play with things. And that was a bit of a weird instance, but everybody being loyal to him is just an aspect of how they were set up roleplay-wise by the guild that he was a part of. So it wasn't really that they were hacked, it's just they were made loyal by default. And that is used as a parallel of him seeing his friends in those characters, which is one of the few aspects of it originally being an MMO that is still present as the series goes on.
Well, there's one time that he wasn't able to persuade him, and that was the band of assassins trying to fight against him in the canyon area.
I can't remember the band of assassins, like the
Mohawk guy with a sword, I believe.
The Mohawk guy with a sword.
They got annihilated quickly.
Oh, was that like that first encounter outside the town?
They become friends with the town. Then there's, I think so.
Yeah. So, he does end things aggressively when he needs to, like one of the best anime scenes of all time. The main character hugs someone to death.
Aside from that, the chibi shorts that they made were adorable, enjoyable, and
a great way to string the anime together, because that could keep people sort of reminded this is still a thing, this is still a show, you want more of this.
Yeah,
let's explore some characters that we did not get to.
Yeah, the maids, which were the main aspect of the chibi shorts, the original ones that aired with, and then the later OVA. Like, one of them got major character development, and another one got some screen time. The rest of them just didn't show up. Which is an aspect of the fact that all of the major NPCs in the dungeon were established from the beginning, and information on them was known, but they don't really get to shine in the storyline until later because, well, we have these characters, but we don't need to throw all of them at once, which is good.
Yes.
Right.
So, any final thoughts on KonoSuba?
Rolling back around to KonoSuba, which is technically our topic of discussion, it's a good show.
Yeah, you should probably watch it.
I can't wait to play the video game.
The video game's going to be good.
Is the video game going to be on DVD/Blu-ray,
I think it's
console,
a bonus,
or PC?
I think it's going to be PC bonus with the first Blu-ray volume. which means it might be out already.
I'd really like a good KonoSuba RPG, but I think that would require a level of world building that the author has not created.
You mean the Season 1 game?
No.
you mean one with more polish?
I mean a tabletop.
Oh, a tabletop game. That would take a lot of polish. Figuring out exactly all the classes and the skills and everything.
All the classes, all the skills.
Figuring out how luck works.
That could be quite an in-depth game in and of itself.
Oh yes. So would you just have the book, or would you have mini cabbages that you'd have to sit there and paint?
Of course, you need your miniature cabbage army. That's this.
Yeah. Roll a tinned cabbage.
Oh no, you got a Bob the Brussels sprout.
Now that's going to make my Imperial Guard much more intimidating when they roll up with their tanks and tiny, adorable cabbages. Chaos will flee before the might of my tiny, adorable cabbages.
So yeah, KonoSuba is good. Want to move on to the next thing?
Let me spit some more stuff out on KonoSuba, then go to the next. No.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. What else did I like? Did we already talk about the world and all that?
It's blessed by this god and is beautiful.
Yeah.
Exactly what it says on the tin. It looks very good.
Okay, I got nothing else. How about we just have this be episode 1, then think about for an episode 2? Because I think we got 45 plus minutes of content.
Minutes. All
right. So let's sign out. This has been the Overencumbrance podcast. Please tune in next time as we will try to produce what eggs we can from this chicken of a talk.
Yep.
Enjoy more long rambling and anecdotes
where we don't talk about KonoSuba for 50 minutes
and terrible puns and the noise of me opening a soda over and over again.
Hopefully you've enjoyed our cast, and good luck with whatever work you're currently doing, studying for whatever test, and hopefully getting those buns that you're burning.
Buns.